says Hayden Panettiere says her team gave her happy pills at 15 years old to walk the red carpet. So if you have any doubt that Hollywood is full of scum,
well, we didn't, but continue.
If you had any doubt whatsoever that Hollywood is full of scum, this is not an adult. This is not somebody her age. It's not like they're like, here's what you're going to be taking. Here are the side effects. It's just like,
take these.
Here's drugs. You're 15 years old because we need you to be peppy on the red carpet.
Pink Floyd song.
So it says, Hayden Panettiere opened up to People... Thank you. Opened up to People magazine about her years-long addiction to opiates and alcohol, revealing a member of her team gave her, quote, happy pills before red carpets when she was only 15 years old. The actor's addiction worsened from there. Now, she mentions said that they made her peppy during interviews. Now, that could be a couple of things. If it was opiates, I know that's the effect they had on me because they tended to... they did not work like they did not work as a depressant on me because I was really... They really had that effect on me. I loved opiates. That was my drug of choice. It was very much like that for me. They could have just as easily been giving her Adderall, if that's what you're talking about. But
was this anything prescribed to her, or they were just giving it to her?
They slipped it under the table, like here, try this, it'll work.
She said that they were the pills she was told to take as a teenager. I had no idea that this was not an appropriate thing or what door that would open for me when it came to my addiction.
It says a lot about the parental guidance, lack thereof.
Yeah.
Parents are just gone.
Who was not going to tell you that that's not appropriate then?
Panettiere gained success as a child with roles in soap operas and Disney's football popular drama Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington. God, that was so long ago. She achieved greater acclaim with her leading role at 16 in NBC's drama Heroes, and when she became a horror movie favorite with her supporting role as Kirby in Scream 4. She was the best part of Scream 4, by the way.
Okay.
Panettiere was also the co-lead in ABC's popular country music soap Nashville. I was on the top of the world and I ruined it, Panettiere said. I'd like to think I hit rock bottom, but then there's that trap door that opens. This hasn't been easy and there's been a lot of ups and downs, but I don't regret even the ugliest things that have happened to me. I feel incredibly accomplished and I feel that I have a second chance. Panettiere is mounting a comeback by reprising her role of Kirby in the upcoming 6th Scream movie. I'm sure Hannah Claire will love that a lot when that comes out. She loves sequels.
Loves sequels.
The movie will mark the actor's most notable project since Nashville came to an end in 2018. She told Good Morning America that she personally asked the Scream creative team to return to the franchise, and they agreed. So that's kind of cool that they
that is neat,
she's like,
yeah.
Can I come back? And they're like, yes. I wanted to be in that badly, she said. So this is kind of an ongoing thing to talk about within Hollywood, which is that, first of all, it's the irresponsibility of the people working there. These are not kids giving her drugs. This isn't teenagers.
These are adults,
this is not two teenagers after school like, hey, man, I took these from my parents' medicine cabinet. This is a child who makes you a ton of money, and you're like, we need you to be on your game here. Let me give you something illegally so that you can do your job better. That is messed up. That is a problem.
They treat them like cattle.
They do.
Like less than human.
And they wonder why the Disney kids end up so messed up. If you think this is an isolated case, you're insane.
I mean, people say that they kind of intentionally make the Disney kids go crazy for publicity reasons. Like it's some kind of...
marketing?
It's not that they want them to not be kid-friendly anymore, but... the natural process of growing up in the public eye will mean that anyway. So if they can make them hit rock bottom and go insane in the process and make headlines that way, then it seems like it helps the PR people more than them. So
is the idea then is the horrible plan that they want then to have a redemption arc, or just they don't even think that far ahead? They just think of it as
the ritual of bringing someone to the very top and then knocking them down in front of everyone.
That's ghoulish and evil.
Yeah. But I think it is what they do on purpose.
I mean, there's countless examples of this, from Miley Cyrus having her own problems. Demi Lovato certainly had her problems.
Weirdly, Selena Gomez didn't have that.
And Hillary Duff, but we've talked about how Hillary Duff was kind of protected by the fact that her dad was an executive.
Yeah, this really reminds me of that Pink Floyd song, "Comfortably Numb." Yep. It's like, are you worried? Are you nervous? Here, this will calm you down. Just try this. It'll be fine. It's no big deal. One
of the weirdest things about working here is there are a lot of whether it's deadlines, time frame that stuff needs to get done. There's a lot of kind of you have to have a lot of energy to get stuff done, but at the same time, it makes it very hard to kind of calm back down.
Yeah, it's always
and when
up.
You work. Yeah, so it's one of the skills that I've had to learn here is when I was younger, when I got sober, I wasn't really working a job that had tremendous pressure. about it. So one of the hardest things has been kind of learning how to deal with all that, the constant the constant need to get stuff done, on top of anxiety, just from basically you're putting yourself out there and trying to be a public speaker when you're not even a super social person to begin with.
That's hard.
That takes a toll mentally, and to do that when you do struggle with the history of those things has been a challenge, to say the least, but something that in a way I'm quite proud of getting through.
Yeah, 100%.
But I can imagine for her, when you've got millions of dollars on the line with these projects, you know, I think Nashville was ABC and then CW or something like that. Those cost a lot of money to make a TV show for all those years. A movie costs a lot of money to get made, and once you're at that level of fame, even for a B-list actor, you're not a person, you're a product. You've got a manager, you've got a producer, you've got all these people that have to be involved in getting you from point A to point B, and that's becomes a thing. So for some of them, maybe it's ghoulish in the sense that we just need to get her through this day, right?
Yeah.
And there
or these 10 minutes that you'll be on a red carpet, but they don't think about the 10 hours after that.
Or what it's going to do to her long term.
Right, exactly.
Right?
The next all 10 they care about is right now.
And that's awful. So, and it's not just this. We had the other one that you found earlier of Noah Cyrus, opens up about recovering from addiction to Xanax.
Yeah.
Says, I was so far gone.
Yes.
For the people who don't know, I don't know how many people that are watching have a history with addiction, be it their own addiction or a family member. But opiate withdrawal, I didn't sleep for about 3 weeks, and I vomited like
constantly.
every 20 to 30 minutes for the first few days, and after that you couldn't eat or keep things down. Xanax withdrawal is worse. You can die from Xanax withdrawal.
Same as alcohol.
Yes, same as alcohol.
It's really bad.
So this is no joke. And the sad part is this was due to her boyfriend was the first person to give her Xanax. Mary, do you remember the name of her boyfriend?
Gosh, I think it was Lil Xan.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting.
He picked that name, huh?
Who could have seen that?
That's so
coming?
crazy.
Believe it or not, it didn't stand for Lil Xander.
No?
It stood for Lil Xan. Yeah.
Xanax.
So
She said my boyfriend at the time when I was 18 was the first person that gave me Xanax, and it became a way for us to bond. I think I wanted to fit in with him.
Yep, makes sense.
The shared experience being so important in your relationships, and that is a toxic, as much as I hate that word, a toxic trait
that
for one of the things that I always felt kind of blessed by, and this may seem insane, is like for me, addiction was very much a solitary experience.
It's better that way.
It pushed on the most like negative aspects of my personality, which is my desire to isolate. I'm naturally a fairly isolated person to begin with,
tendency.
and it pushed on that trait more heavily. But for people who are more outgoing, and then they use in groups, it becomes a vicious cycle, and it gets even harder
or if it's
to get
a part
away.
of a relationship like this.
Right, you're changing your whole life.
Yes,
she was conforming to what she thought he wanted.
Yep.
So she said, I wanted to be what he thought was cool and what I thought everyone was doing. Once I felt that it was possible to silence things out for a second and numb your pain, it was over. She didn't name him, but we all know that it was Lil Xan.
Of course, yeah.
Induction. We know it was. She said I was unable to keep my head up or keep my eyes open because I was so far gone. It just kind of becomes this dark, bottomless pit.
So she was completely nodding off and falling asleep during an interview. There was more than a few times where that would happen to me in situations where it's like you don't realize it at the time because you're not living cleanly anyways. So like you don't realize that that's what's causing it, but you're also not getting enough sleep. You're sleeping in a regular schedule. Your life is in complete chaos. And it's very easy to say, well, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but that's not, it's partially that, but it's also that the drugs have taken over every aspect of your being and make it extremely difficult for you to find any semblance of a schedule or routine. And that's probably been, for me, my saving grace has been the ability to have like a fairly consistent routine all the time that just happens to include a decent amount of pressure. But without the routine, it would be a million times harder.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting that Lil Xan in 2018 also overdosed on something. He said it was, quote, too many hot Cheetos. I have reasons to suspect that was not the case.
Believe it or not, I don't know if there's a Surgeon General's warning on Cheetos, on hot Cheetos.
Yeah, there should be, to be fair.
And
does that make regular
it's
Cheetos like
interesting
lights?
because I remember that Lil Xan was often asked about why he chose his rapper name, and when he was asked about it, never admitted that he took Xans anymore. He always said it like it was something he used to do in the past, and that they treated him horribly, and he went through withdrawal and he was over with it. But clearly that's not true.
That is one of the hardest things. Like, and the thing is, at the time, whenever he gave that interview, it could absolutely be the fact
At the time,
that he was through it. But that is just one bad choice away from falling right back into that cycle, and it is a vicious.
And I think it's really disgusting
one.
to pull someone else into it.
Oh, for sure.
In the process,
whether you know what you're doing or not. Like, and he quit music, and everyone's like, oh, why are you quitting? And I'm assuming it was at least partly because of this ridiculous addiction that he won't confess to. So hopefully he comes out of that and gets the help he needs too.
Like, I don't think addiction makes you like a bad person, but if you are bringing other people down to rock bottom with you on purpose as some kind of way to bond in your relationship,
I would be careful with the word on purpose there. The idea that
gave it
if
to
he
her.
gives it to her and he actually says something like it's so you can experience what I'm experiencing, that's messed up.
That's kind of
that sounds exactly like what happened.
Yeah, so that's
they were the same age, to be fair, so not a whole lot of wisdom between the two of them.
I tend to caution towards like there's always like the notion that one person's the good guy and one person roped the other kids into it.
She still has responsibility for her own actions,
Yes.
obviously, but it's just sad that she did that just so that she could feel like bonded to him.
Right.
And is that a sign? Is that a statement on codependence?
That probably happens a lot.
That's a very girl thing to do. That's
people,
why we're seeing some of these social contagions with young girls, because they want to fit in.
So it's like she's got this idea of what it means to be connected to someone, what love, what it means to be in love, and like somehow somewhere it perverts that idea and makes it something far worse.
Yeah.
Her history with like mental health and addiction can't be unrelated to her family being so deeply embedded in the entertainment industry. And it's hard enough to be a huge child star like her sister, but imagine then also being the younger sibling who is basically the shadow of that.
Yeah.
Right. That's even harder. I agree.
Like, that's a tough act to follow, or expectation.
High pressure,
that you'll go down the same path. It's scary.
And she says that her worst days were in August of 2020. I mean, that's not behind her. Like, I've been clean for several years, and I still have periods of time where I don't feel myself, where I feel like there's days when we're doing the show where I just feel off, and I couldn't tell you why that is. Like, there's days where like I'll mention it to Mary sometimes off air, where I'm just like, look, I'm reaching for words that some days will be there. And I'll remember and I'll know what I need to say. Other days, they're not there. And I don't know if it was ever like, I never felt like it was like that beforehand. But it was so long, it was so much use over so much time that you it kind of makes you sad to think of like what could have been if I hadn't made those mistakes.
I have known a lot of people who've made that observation too. We were actually talking about this earlier today. Like, what would it have been like if I didn't drink? And I was like, well, I know people who did marijuana, and they're like, I don't know what I would have been like if I hadn't started marijuana so young. I knew somebody who had started doing marijuana with his mom when he was like a teen, and he's like, my brain would have been so different if I hadn't started doing this when I was
different
so young.
In a good or a bad way?
In a positive way. He's like, well, I'm not really sure. Now you have no way of knowing what it would have been like. There's such a sense of like lost potential.
People deserve a chance to see who they are before ever making a decision like that.
For sure.
All right, there's some super chats there.
Oh yeah.
Caper2X said, Sir Brett, hola. Tainos for Dane/white boy.
Woo!
You mean Dave, right?
Dave. Patron saint of White Boy Summer.
Dave, the American white guy.
That's
Dave,
right.
Patron saint of Caucasian male summer.
Yes.
Summer solstice.
Mr. Y said, you guys seen the vids of the mobs of high school kids going to see the Minions movie in suits? Yes, we talked about that on the show that's going to be up on Friday.
Yes.
Awesome.
We got, guys, before, I'm just going to give a notice head on since I did at the end of the show before. So since we will not be on live Thursday and Friday, we recorded a special show that will come out and premiere on Friday at the time we would normally release.
So you recorded just like the olden days of Pop Culture Crisis.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
We don't even remember what it was like back then.
We were recording it, and I was like we're talking through the segments, and I'm like, wow, this is weird. Like, it's like way less pressure, but also at the same time,
it's less exciting, right?
Yes, it's less.
Yeah, there's no chat.
That's basically what I pointed out. I said, without the crippling anxiety, it's just not the same anymore. are.
without getting interrupted every 5 seconds.
We love the interruptions. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like,
for
sure,
sure.
maybe I lose my point, the point
It's
that I'm
so
making,
fun, yeah.
and I
But
don't
people
really.
in the chat often have like much
Interesting
more
points.
thought out points than
Yeah.
either of us.
Yeah. Well,
I
yeah.
like getting that feedback.
Mhm.
I love doing that on the show too, for sure.
Yeah.
See, they should be doing the show, not.
Yeah, you guys should just come here.
Yeah, come. We'll like give you control for like 5 minutes.
Nathan Koss said, I'm not reading that.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Taryn Jones said, so glad to see Lids back in
Oh, hey.
action. You were missed on IRL. Also, Brett, Terminal List review.
Okay, Mary, how about this? Would you be interested in, if we're not recording on Thursday and Friday, how about next week we record a Terminal List review?
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's 8 episodes.
Okay.
Just
I'll try
binge
to get into
That'd
it
be
over the
great.
weekend.
I'm hesitant. I'm always hesitant to do shows because movies, it's a lot easier. You can knock it out. Sometimes it's best to watch it twice.
It's all
because then
out
you-
right now.
Yes,
Okay.
all episodes are out at once. So maybe, Taryn, we
That's easier.
record an episode. We record a special segment, not live for the show,
Mm-hmm.
but then we put it up on the YouTube channel, and we'll do that next week.
Yeah, sure. I
We
don't
have
want to
pressured
end up
Mary
in another
into it.
situation where we're doing it week after week.
No.
I can't fall for another Kenobi.
But as long as it's not Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's fine.
Yeah.
The Terminal List is actually good. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi just being awful that made that so
Awful.
such a story. Like every day they're like, we're gonna record today, and they looked at to me, and I'm just like, ugh, do we have to? Yes.
No.
Also, there's another chat that said, I wouldn't sacrifice my daughter's integrity and mental health for fame. You see it in Instagram kids or beauty pageant kids.
Yep.
It's
Or
bad.
even the families that run like YouTube accounts with their kids from a young
I
age.
hate that. Your kid is not a prop.
Yeah.
Not an accessory. Emily Ratajkowski holding her son just made me so
Like a
mad.
handbag.
Like a
Who's
little-
never held a child in her entire life.
She held a puppy like that too,
Yeah.
and I was like, what are you doing?
Is it just because she can't sacrifice her
Pose.
pose?
Pretty.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's disgusting. I
That's
hate that.
ghoulish and evil.
Yeah.
Even though she's already gorgeous, she just has to robotically pose.
You know what
in
would
a
make her
certain way.
even more gorgeous? Being maternal and loving to her own son. The saying.
Maybe not showing a child to the whole internet. Too.
Yeah, that would be a good start
I
too.
don't really know if I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.